Thanks everyone again for joining our webinar today. We're going to be doing a deep dive into selections. So we'll be demoing how to use our selection boards as well as our brand new tracker tool for procurement. So this is great for those of you who have already incorporated selections into your workflow, as well as those who are brand new, maybe have never tried it out before. My name is Katie, and I'm on the product marketing team here at Houzz. And I work closely with our customers to get feedback on Houzz Pro and understand how you're using the platform. And then I also work closely with our product and engineering teams to make sure we're building the right products for our customers. So we've probably spoken with some of you before. All your feedback is really appreciated, and that's how we decide what features we're going to be working on throughout the year. And I'm here with my colleague Abby as well, who works very closely on our selections board and our tracker. So just a few reminders before we get started. You can see in this right panel where we're chatting, there's also a Q&A tab. So feel free to add any questions you have as we go through into that Q&A tab. And the recording will be shared afterwards. So don't feel like you need to follow along or take detailed notes as we're going through. Before we get into the demo, we did want to get a sense of how familiar you are with selections in Houzz Pro. So I will launch this poll that you should see in one moment. And just let us know what's your current level of fluency with selections. And Abby, I think we can get started.
Perfect. Thank you, Katie. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Okay. Give everybody another second to just fill out that poll. Awesome. Katie, can you see my screen okay?
Yep, it looks good.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure that we're all set there. Okay, guys, so let's learn about selections today. So in order to create your first selections board in Houzz Pro, you're going to want to go ahead and have a project created. Selections boards are essentially a way for you to organize and create kind of a recipe book for your project. What is the faucet? What is the countertop material? What is the tile backsplash? What's the grout? Those sorts of details are things that you can add to a selections board. So that way you can get client approval on those items and then translate that all the way down the line to your vendors, to your subcontractors, etc. So first things first, I'm going to navigate to one of my existing projects. So we're going to click this one right here called Jackson Residence. Let me see. You know what? It kicked me out of that one. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. I think my I have a long list of accounts, so I think that it kicked me out of that account. My bad. 1 second. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to get into the Jackson Residence project. So you'll see over here on the left-hand side, under planning, you have selections boards and you have selections tracker. So those are the two that we'll be covering today. So to create your first selection board, you're just going to navigate to the selection board tab, and you can click right here to easily create a new selection board. You can do it here, and you can also do it up here in the top right-hand corner. You'll see that I already have one created that we'll go through later, and any of the existing ones will be listed out. So let's create a new one together. So I'm going to click create new, and I'm going to go ahead and name this according to my room name. So let's say we are designing a primary bathroom. We can do that. We can also assign it to a specific team member. Let's say you are a design build firm and you have a designer on staff. You want to assign that board to them. You can very easily do that right there. Assign that board and then hit create. That's one way to use our boards tool. There's another way to do it that I like to recommend to my contractor friends, and that is by allowance. So let's say, I have $10,000 in my budget to spend on plumbing. You can also create your boards by those allowances. So let's say I'm going to call this one plumbing, hit create, and then you'll be able to assign the room budget as an allowance. And let's say, like I said, we have $10,000. You can do that instead, and then organize your board based off of the allowance and then organize it by room, if that makes sense. So those are kind of the two ways that you can create boards that I know of, but it's very flexible. You can really do whatever you want with the boards, and it can serve your process however you work. And so let's go through the experience as if we're doing it by an allowance. So let's click on plumbing here. And let's say that we want to add products to this board of all the plumbing for this specific project. What you're going to want to do is be able to add products. So let's say you use the Kohler toilet, you're using a specific Delta faucet, that sort of thing. You need to be able to get that information into your board, right? So there's a number of ways that you can do that. The fastest and my personal favorite way is to use the House Pro Clipper. If you haven't already installed the House Pro Clipper, it's a Google Chrome extension. Katie can send the direct link to the House Pro Clipper in the chat. And this is a really great way for you to quickly pull product information off of your favorite vendors' websites. So a recent update that we made to this is that you can actually clip things directly from build.com. We know a lot of you guys are using build.com or Ferguson and that sort of thing. So you can actually clip things directly from build.com, as well as any other website on the internet. So super cool. So let me just show you kind of what that looks like. Up here in the top right, you'll see I have the House Pro Clipper icon. You just click that, very, very easy, on the product that you want to add to your product library. And you can see right here on the top right, we have something called Smart Sourcing. Some websites have this available. It just depends on the individual website. But when you have Smart Sourcing available, it just makes the process even faster. So you can choose to go ahead and have it autofill information for you. So I'm going to hit yes, and you can see that it's going ahead and adding in. It's adding in the name of the product, that sort of thing. Looks like it pulled over the wrong cost, but we can change that. And if there's any descriptions or specific fields that you want to change, you can do that. You can either type it in, or let's say we want to change the name to include Delta in it. You can highlight over it and then choose that this is the product title. You can highlight over this and say this is the cost. Another thing that you can do is use this little finger icon in the top right and simply point to specific things like, okay, we need to know the SKU number so that when it comes to procurement, we know what to buy. So you just click right there. You just click it and click SKU. So there's kind of a few different ways that you can kind of do that. So now we're adding this shower trim to our library. You can choose the product category. Like let's say that we want to call this shower trim. It's always key to kind of keep things organized so that you can find it later. The vendor, we're going to say that the vendor is build.com. Choose that. And then you can also go ahead and tie it to a specific project. So let's say that I want to go ahead and put this in my Jackson Residence project. You can do that. I'm just going to type that guy in, and then I'm going to add this to that plumbing board that we created together just a minute ago. So super easy, adding everything together. And then one last thing I want to point out is adding those product images. When you hit the clip product images button, it's going to go ahead and identify those images that are on this web page. So you can choose up to 5 of the ones that you want to include. Maybe you want to show a picture of it, how it could look with a hand shower, a full shower system. You can do that as well. And then when you hit clip, that's going to be added to the product as well. Once you're done filling in all the details, you just simply click Save to House Pro, and bada bing, bada boom, it is available for you inside your project. So you can see here on my plumbing board, it has the Delta Trensic faucet, shower trim faucet already added here. So that's one way that you can add products to your library. Another way you can do it is just through manual entry. So over here on the right-hand side, you'll see Selections Library. If you click Add a Product right here, you're going to get a very similar experience to what you have in the Clipper, where you fill in all the product details. What's the name of the product? What is the category for this product? All those sorts of things. Add your images, vendor, etc. I like to recommend to people like things that are a little bit more unusual. Like let's say you want to add an image to say, okay, this tile needs to be laid in a chevron lay pattern. I like to recommend to people to be able to do that through this manual add function. So let's say, for instance, you Google chevron lay pattern. I want to be able to have like a line drawing of that so that the contractor knows what that looks like. I'm just going to pull this image on down, and then I will add that as my image right here. There's my chevron lay pattern. And then I'm going to call this chevron lay pattern. And then my category can be whatever you want it to be. It can just be lay pattern. I think I have one already, patterns. So now I have a library of all these patterns. The really great thing about this is that you can use those over and over. So you add them in once, and then in the future, it's going to be available for you to continue using. So it saves a lot of time in the selections process. I know that a lot of people who've never used our selections board feature are used to doing this in a spreadsheet. And so pasting a little tiny thumbnail, maybe manually typing in product information into a spreadsheet can be really cumbersome. And not to mention that it can be a challenge for the subcontractors in the field to be able to view this stuff and understand on a spreadsheet. So this is a really great way to be able to kind of capitalize on being able to repeat and capitalize on being able to have that visual thumbnail and save you time and money, really. So I'm going to save this pattern here, and you can see now I have my lay pattern here as well as shower trim. So next thing, obviously this example isn't great for plumbing. You know, you wouldn't have a lay pattern there, but I did want to highlight that for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that from this board. And the next thing that I want to point out is creating sections. So let's say you've created your boards based off of allowances. So we did plumbing, we have $10,000 budget, but then we have specific rooms that these products need to go into. You can use the sections tool to be able to create a new section to easier organize these products by room. So it's kind of the inverse of what some people do. Sometimes designers will design by room, but for contractors, it's really a lot easier to do by allowance. So you can kind of operate either way. So let's say that this shower trim needs to go into a section called kids bathroom. We're going to click create a new section. We're going to call this kids bathroom, and then simply hit the check mark. And then you're ready to drag and drop items into that section. So let's say that was the trim that needs to go in there. Maybe we know that this Costia faucet is the sink faucet. You can drag that on in, and then you can kind of start to build your board this way. So I will show you again. Let's say now we're going to do the primary bathroom, and this is all just the plumbing stuff. Again, you can go into your selections library. Let's go ahead and filter and say we want to see all the bathtub faucets. So it's going to pull that up for me. Okay, I want this wide tub, widespread bathroom faucet as like a deck mounted faucet for my tub. I'm going to do that, and you can add that in super easily. So any questions so far, Katie?
No, we seem to be good. I added the link to download the clipper into the chat as well as the tutorial on how to use it.
Perfect. Awesome. Now I'm going to show you guys a different example. So, you know, we set this up as a by allowance type thing. Maybe you do want to operate by room. You can also do that as well here. So you click right here. Let's see this example that I've created in the past for this kitchen. And you'll see that I've organized things more so by allowance for the section instead of the room as a section. So you'll see I have all my appliances here. I have my lighting and electrical here. I have all my cabinet selections, my backsplash, my grout joint size, the grout color, the lay pattern, all of those fun things are organized by section. So you can kind of visually see that there's a lot of flexibility here. You can really do whatever you kind of need to do for your project by using these different boards and using these different sections. So super, super cool for you to be able to do that. Something else that I want to point out is up here in this budget bar. So when you manually check and hit include in budget, it's going to add that item to the overall budget. So let's say we've spent so far $24,000 out of our $30,000. It's kind of keeping track of that for you. So that can be very beneficial for you. Like we can navigate back to our one that's organized by an allowance. You can see across all rooms now, okay, I'm spending, this is $679. This one's going to be included in the budget. This one too. Now you can see those three items. We're spending $1,400 of our $10,000 budget. So that's something that can be super helpful for you or your in-house designer or your third-party designer, whoever you're working with, to be able to stay on top of those allowances because those are important. Time and money are everything in construction. And that's just one way that we want to help you guys to be able to stay on budget, make your clients happier in the long run. Another thing that I want to point out to you guys is that you can actually add like ancillary documents to these boards. So let's say, for example, you want to add in the technical specifications. You can see right here on this kitchen board under plumbing, I wanted to include the installation specs for the specific sink. I know that my cabinet manufacturer is going to need to know how big that sink is and the specific details about it. So I'm going to go ahead and add that as a document to this board so that they have the information that they need. Then the plumber later on down the line knows exactly what they need, all of those fun things. So you can easily add those items to your board by just using the Files tab over here on the right. So when you click Files, you can add a new file or add an existing file. So you can see here, like, let's say I want to add the cabinet design plans as a file. You can add that and then just drag and add that to that specific section for your project. So it can be really helpful. It's very comprehensive. You can kind of add all the pieces and parts together. A few other things that you can add If you've done a 3D floor plan in House Pro, you can also add those into your boards. If you've done mood boards inside House Pro, you can also add those to your boards. And then as well as images, if you have inspiration images that you want to put at the very top of your board, you can kind of put that at the top. You can also kind of visually differentiate things by changing the size. Like maybe we want the cabinet design to be the largest. You can do that by simply clicking these 3 dots and changing the size, as well as hiding things from your client. Like maybe the client doesn't need to see the exact cabinet details, but you want the design stored in this one place so that everybody else can have access to it. Just hit hide from client. You can also remove things from the board here, as well as add them to sections from this point as well. So a lot of great functionality inside each individual product. So really, really helpful for you to just kind of organize everything, get it in place, get those final details together. Next thing that I want to talk about is client approvals. So that is everything. That is like the number one thing that you need. You need to know that this is the product that your customer selected and that's what they want to move forward with. So there's a few things on each specific product that you can do with your customers. So when you share it with them, which I'll show in a few minutes, they can manually approve or decline items. And let's say beforehand, we want to talk with the client about this specific product. Do you want this panel ready dishwasher, or do you want to use a standard stainless steel dishwasher? You can simply click this chat icon in the top right of any product and communicate directly with your client and ask them those questions. You'll be able to mention them and ask them whatever you need to know about that product. Additionally, you have a private team chat. I want to emphasize that this is private. The things that you talk to your team about the specific product will not be shared with your client. It will be exclusive to your team. So you guys can say, ooh, actually don't use that tile. I used it on a different project and it has this problem. Those sorts of things you can kind of communicate on directly, so that you and your team can kind of all stay on the same page. So that's 2 areas that you can kind of communicate back and forth with your client right here. And then when you're ready, you've communicated with your client, you think that you have those final selections nailed down, you can click up here in the top right, preview and share, and you'll be able to view the entire board and be able to share that with your customer. Something important to note here is you can customize what your client can see. Maybe you don't want them to see the pricing. You can toggle that off. Maybe you don't want them to see the exact description, the colors, or show the product links. You can toggle those things off as well. And then additionally, you can say, okay, I don't need them to approve the floor plans. I don't need them to approve the mood boards. I'm going to turn those guys off. You can do that as well. So it's really helpful for you to be able to see it. And this is kind of what the customer will experience. They'll be able to go through, they'll be able to look at it. They're going to say, yes, I like that buster and punch toggle switch. I'm going to click that. I'm going to hit approve. And then on your side, you'll see that they've approved that product, which is really helpful. Additionally, when you hit this down arrow next to the share button, if you want to unpublish something from the dashboard, maybe you need to make some major changes to the selections, you can unpublish it so that your customer can no longer access it until you're ready, and export it as a PDF or download the tear sheet for this specific board. When you hit this actual share button here in the top right, you can add the email addresses that you want to send the board to, as well as customize a personal message to send to your customer. Last thing I want to point out right here on copy link, you can hit copy link, open a new tab, and paste that link to really experience exactly what they're going to see. So this can be helpful if you're like, I'm not sure that this is going to look good for my customer. You can look and say, okay, now I know what they're going to see. This looks good. I like that they can see the price on this, that sort of thing, and kind of go through and feel extra confident in what you're sending your customer. Another thing that you can do here is export it as a PDF, and as well as go ahead and just hit that send button and send it directly to your client. So those are all the different options here for sharing it with your customer. Katie, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do have a few. Question from Jordan. Can you share the board with your subs or suppliers?
You can, yes. So you can actually just use that copy link. That's what I would recommend right now. So if you hit the share button and just click copy link, you could go ahead and send that directly with your subs or your vendors. We're actually working on an improved subcontractor dashboard right now where it will be integrated directly in. So I don't know if you've ever used the subcontractor feature inside House Pro right now, but selections is not currently included, but we are integrating that. So then they'll have access to additional things. They'll see their selections. You'll see if you want them to see the schedule, if you want them to see daily logs, all of those different things. And that should be coming out. I believe it's going to be in the next quarter. So that's coming very soon. But for now, I would recommend either preview and share and then send that link directly to them, or downloading it as a PDF to be able to send that to them. And then I'll show you guys one other way to, or a few other ways to share these final selections with your subcontractors and vendors in just a few minutes when we switch over to the tracker.
Okay, great. Let's see. Question from Lauren. So say you're designing kitchen cabinet layout. Would you use the clipper to add each cabinet individually to get them into the board, or what would you recommend there?
You're planning the cabinet layout. So from my experience in the construction space, like you typically just need to call out like the door style, the door color, the door hardware. So I would recommend adding those things. So like, let's say in this kitchen, we're going to create a section and say, let's say that the island is different from the perimeter. We're going to say island cabinetry. We can save that here. And then for my selections library, my product category, I'm going to go to cabinet hardware, pull up those items. I'm going to say that's the cabinet hardware that we're going to use on the island. We're going to say, let's see, door style. I think I have that one too. Yep. Apply cabinet door style. I'm going to do a skinny shaker. We're going to add that guy in here. And then the same thing for color. So like, let's say that there's a specific paint color I want these cabineted. Maybe it's a Benjamin Moore color that you want to paint match, or like this Sherwin-Williams Black Magic. I would add in those 3 things. And so for some reason, the image is not showing for the skinny shaker, but I think that I have one down here. So that's what I usually do. You can see right here. I'll put in my upper cabinet finish. I named this my base cabinet finish, and I did my cabinet door style here. And then in addition to that, like outside of the realm of selection boards, the 3D floor planner is actually a really great tool for like pre-planning cabinet layout. So if you need to get really granular about layout, like a 30-inch base cabinet here, I'm going to do an 18-inch drawer stack here with a cabinet door underneath it. You can kind of play with the 3D floor planner to do that. I know that sometimes like getting revisions back and forth to your client and then waiting on the cabinet manufacturer to get back with new CAD drawings can be a long process. So I've seen people use the 3D floor plan to kind of supplement that process and get revisions and new ideas across to the customer faster. So that's what I would recommend doing.
Great. A follow-up from Jordan, who asked about sharing with subs. Will they be able to download the PDFs or specs for the designs?
Yes.
Oh,
exactly.
Great.
Yep.
And then one more question from Hannah. Can you show how to customize the board with your logo or your company information?
Yeah, so I would recommend just adding an image to your board. So like, let's say this one's pretty. So we'll go for this one. So let's say if you had an image and you uploaded the image of your logo, you could put that at the top here. So you can add that super easily. So like, I don't know if I have an image on my desktop, but let's see. These are all screenshots. We can put my my headshot from IBS on here. That'd be lovely, right? So you would just upload that guy in, and then let's see. I think that's what. Hang on. Okay, there we go. So you can put that at the top here. You can make it bigger. Let's say we want to make it large. We want to see a really nice large picture of me. You can put that at the top to be able to kind of brand your selections boards. And additionally, there's more branding options on the mood boards. So the mood boards you also get to brand as well. But when you share this with your customer, like you can see here, the logo that we have for this account is Rose Construction. So when you associate that photo with your account, it's going to appear here as well. So there's a couple of different things that you could do to kind of make your brand front and center.
Great. And you can also set as a cover image, right? If you prefer to do that.
Yes. Yeah. So you can set cover images for these specific boards as well. So like, let's say I want to make this the cover image for this specific board. I can say, okay, the cover image is this faucet. So now you can see that Kohler Costia is the cover image for plumbing. It's just a visual cue to know, okay, this is the plumbing allowance board. Cool. Got any more, Katie?
No, I think we're good for now.
Okay, awesome. All right, so next thing is the tracker. So the tracker is new for contractors, and this is a really great tool for you guys to use when you're doing actual procurement. You know, when it gets down to the brass tacks and you got to buy this stuff. So there's a few different places that you can interact with the tracker. So you can do it up here at the top. You can toggle between boards and tracker. Or on the main project navigation, you'll see down here, you have the selections tracker. Okay, so Now we're open to the selections tracker, and you can see there's a lot of stuff to view here. There's a ton of different details and a lot of different filters. So we'll go through some of the key things that I like to call out to people. So there's a few different tabs up here at the top that you'll notice. And these are just kind of tailored to different phases of the construction process that we see our pros needing. So maybe you need specific details for the planning phase. You need to know what room it's going to go in, what the vendor is, what the specifications are. You can kind of get a quick access to those details. Then we have the financials. If you need to see, okay, what did I pay for this product? What am I marking it up? What am I making in profit on this specific product? You can look and track all of those specific details from right here in the sheet, as well as edit them in line. So like, let's say this cabinet hardware costs $124. I'm going to mark it up 16%. So I'm making 19 bucks per cabinet hardware pull. So you can very easily add those details right here. The next view for you is procurement. So this is going to be more oriented around order tracking. So like, let's say we've placed this order on build.com. I want to change the status to ordered. The order date was yesterday. The estimated ship date, there was a lead time of 6 weeks. So maybe it's not going to ship until the 6th. And then you can also, after the fact, when you get the shipping confirmation, you can add the ship date, add the receive date. All of those different details you can add right here. And it can make it really helpful for you to be able to like track, okay, when's this showing up to the job site? When can I get it in a Connex box or something like that? I don't want it to get stolen. Like you can kind of really real-time track what's going on your project. The last view is all. So that's kind of what we show by default. So it's going to give you access to all of the details from planning, financials, and procurement in one view. And you'll see like when you scroll to the right, there's lots of other all the details we just covered are all right here. Something else that I want to point out to you guys, by default, you will be on what we call the stacked view, and you can actually toggle between those two views. So you can see here, when you have the stacked view, some of the things are combined just so that it prevents so much vertical scrolling. So you don't have to, or horizontal scrolling, you don't have to scroll so much to see what you need. You can kind of see things in a stacked format. But again, you can toggle between the two. If you'd rather see it all laid out like a spreadsheet, you can totally do that. So that can be super helpful for you as you're making decisions, reviewing things, and kind of filling in different information about these specific products. The next thing that I want to point out is the ability to add these custom fields. So if you see up here in the top right, you have this customize icon. And this is where you can kind of choose what you're going to see on this tracker. So you can turn on and off things. Maybe you don't want to see the vendor. Maybe you don't want to see the room. You can hide different fields, as well as add new fields. So if you click up here on add new field, one that I like to tell people is orderer. That's one of my favorite ones. So let's say we're going to choose it. This is a single select. We're going to say maybe the customer purchased this item. Maybe the contractor is purchasing this item. Maybe the designer is purchasing this item. That's something that you can do and simply add that field in. And then in the future, you can kind of log and see exactly who's ordering what and kind of get that bird's eye view into like, what am I responsible for? What's the designer responsible for? Because people run into that so often that like maybe the homeowner has an antique light fixture that they're bringing, but you want to be able to know the full picture. That's a really great thing. And we're actually adding that as a permanent field here coming soon. So we're adding some new custom fields that will be coming, I think, in the next few weeks. And so those will be super helpful for you guys because you'll be able to filter by those and sort by those and that sort of thing. So adding custom fields is really, really great. There can be, you can basically build anything that you imagine. So really, really cool. And then next thing that I want to point out are the filters. So you can search right here if you need to search for a specific product that you're looking for. And then over here on sort by, that's basically going to allow you to sort it by different things. Like maybe you want it in alphabetical order. Maybe you want it organized by room. You can do that. Something to note here, though, is when you do sort by room A to Z, if you have organized your boards by allowance, like we discussed earlier, room means allowance in this scenario, since we're kind of using it in that flexible way. And so that's just something that I wanted to call out to you guys just so that you're aware. Other things that are really helpful, like if you've gone in, you've added in your delivery date, you can use this sort by delivery date feature and do newest to oldest. Then it's going to tell you a comprehensive list of what's coming to the job site and when. So like, let's say that this faucet's coming tomorrow. if we had this date in here and we said, this is going to be delivered tomorrow, that's when it would appear first. And then maybe there's something coming next week. You can see those items. And it's all just dependent on what information you add into the specific products. And it can be a really great place for you to be able to sort and view all that stuff. The next filter I want to cover is the organized by. I think this is like the most helpful. I love it personally, because this is going to help you truly when you're doing your procurement. My favorite is vendor. So organized by vendor. So now you know, okay, from this flooring company, I know that I need to order this. From Blanco, I need these things. You could change that. Maybe you're buying all this from Ferguson. You can change the vendor there. Here's the stuff I need from Bill.com. Here's what I need from Buster and Punch. I need to go to Cambria and get this specific quart. So those sorts of things. So I think that's the most helpful for you guys to be able to place those orders and go through this process and make sure that you're covering everything. Something else that you can do, when you're organizing by vendor. So let's say that we put this fridge and the shower trim on one order together. You see that I just checked those boxes right here. Now I can bulk edit them. So I'm going to hit up here in the top right and hit edit, and you can change the order status for this. Let's say that we ordered both of those items. I ordered them yesterday. They're estimated to ship on the 23rd. You can go ahead and batch update those things. So then let's say in 3 weeks when they finally ship, you can again bulk edit those two things because they're organized by vendor, choose them together, and be able to save those details to those two specific products at once. So that's something that's really, really nice for you to be able to do. And then lastly, we have some additional filters here. So the most important thing about buying product is making sure that you're getting paid back for it. So you can see here on the document status and document progress column, you can see that this item was included on an estimate, but it hasn't been included on an invoice yet, and we haven't recuperated that cost. So you'll be able to see those details right here and click directly to the associated documents. So once this is on an invoice, I'll be able to click the invoice and access that information, as well as if it's on a change order or a purchase order. So all of those details are stored right here in that column. Let's say that you don't want to view specific document types. You can do that from the filters tab up here in the top. And under document status, you can choose to include or not include specific document types, as well as choose to include or not include specific items. Like, I don't want to see the declined stuff. I don't want to see the pending stuff. You can hit apply and it's gonna change that. Sorry, I got that backwards. If you only want to see declined and pending, you would check those. If you only want to see approved, you check approved. So you click that, and now you can see only the approved products. So that kind of gives you like a comprehensive overview of all the products you're ordering. You can add in your financial details, shipping details, the exact specifications, the SKUs. All of this can be used for you as you're going through your procurement process. Another thing that I want to note, maybe the boards aren't for you. Maybe you don't need a visual way to look at your selections. You can also add items from right here on the right. Just click the add button, and then you're going to have access to your product library over here on the right. You'll be able to add items directly from that library to your tracker. So there's you can work different ways within House Pro. You're not limited to just doing the boards or just doing the tracker. You can kind of do it however works best for you. And then those items will in turn show up on the boards, but you can kind of work however you'd like. The last thing that I want to note about the selections tracker is the ability to export. So there's some really great export options here. So whatever you have set up as your filters, like let's say we have it organized by room, and we want to export this out by room, and then I want to thumbtack up and print it out and stick it on the job site. So no matter if the plumber who owns the company or his field crew is on the site, they can have access to all the information. You can do that very easily. Just organize it by room. Let's click here and then hit export. And then you can do one of three different options. You can download these selections as Excel, as an FF&E schedule PDF, personal favorite, or download it as tear sheets. Let's take a peek at the FF&E schedule, because again, I think that's the most helpful one for people on site. And again, you can choose what item details you want to see, if you want the description to show, if you want the title of the product to show. Maybe you're doing a project in a heavily trafficked area and it's new construction and you don't want people seeing all the specific details. You don't have to show it. You can choose to show that or not. Same thing with these extra details like vendor, purchase order, and all those types of things, as well as the price. You probably don't want to put the price on blast on the job site, so you can choose if you want to do that or not. And then the same thing for specifications. Maybe you don't want the SKU to show. That can be something that's a little more sensitive. You can do all those different details and then just click download, and it's going to download a PDF copy for you. This is another area where you could download this PDF and then show it to, let me see, and then show it to your, let's see what I got going on here. You can show it to your subcontractors or your vendors and be able to give them the final selections for the project. Let's see. Selected room. Okay. I think that's it. Looks like that last one I had some found wrong. No? Okay. Let me see what's going on here. Approved. None. Okay. Title. We've got the title. We've got the room. We've got pricing. Let's see. We want the quantity. Let's hit download. That's unusual. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll try and get a different one pulled up. Not sure what why it's not showing, but in theory, it would show you like a list of all the products. It'll show you the pricing for it. It'll show you the SKU number, all those details that you would need to share with people in the field. So that's kind of the overview of the tracker. Again, I'll try and get the FF&E export to pull up for you. It's a great thing for you to use on the job site. It's a great thing for you to email out to specific people, all those different things. And, you know, selections is a tool that anybody can use. I've talked to pros who they just need a few selections between like concrete flooring for a garage. They have 3 different package options that they show. And so they just want to present the customer with those 3 options and let them pick. That's a way that you can use it. And then I've also have pros who've built $2+ million custom homes using our selections board. So it really anywhere in between, anybody can use the selections tool. And it can be a really great benefit for you. It saves you time, saves you money, and prevents you from squinting on a spreadsheet all day long. So do you have any other questions that we need to cover?
Yeah, there were 2 questions. One from Dave. He was asking about allowances.
Mm-hmm.
Are the allowances based on cost before markup?
That would really just depend on what you would prefer to do. Let me get back to my screen. Hang on one second. Yeah, it really just depends on what you want to do. I believe that if you click to add a markup, then it would go ahead and add that to the total. So it's just up to you. Like if you want to say, okay, I have a $10,000 thing, and then I want to go ahead and accommodate for an extra $2,000 in markup, like I would say that your allowance should be $12,000 so that when you add products, you can add that markup in.
Great. We do have one more question. Before we get to that, I'm just going to launch another poll. Okay. We would love to hear what feature updates you would like to see to either selection boards or to the tracker. If you have any ideas, please share them here. And then the other question we got from Jordan was whether the tracker can integrate into estimates.
So the tracker, it doesn't integrate with the estimates as far as like if you add like something from your parts catalog, so it's not going to add those items. But if you're adding your selection products to an estimate, it will. So let me show you an example real quick. So if you're on your estimate and let's say we go to a test estimate and let's say we're adding a product to it. Add items from parts list. If you use the products in the selections library, yes, they will add to it. But if you use something like, let's just say like it's a specific catalog thing, like you see right here, planning your permission, that type of stuff isn't going to port over to the selections tracker.
Okay, great.
See if that tracker worked. There we go. There's an example. This is a little bit better. You guys can still see my screen, I hope, of the details that I exported out on an FF&E for this specific faucet. So you can see this is kind of the format of what it looks like. You have all the details you need, you know, the room, those sorts of things.
Perfect. Are there any other questions? We have a few minutes. Let's see, a question from Lauren about importing. If you already have an existing spreadsheet, is there a way to import that?
There's not, but I'm not sure. So are you looking to be able to import, like, I know that I always need these specific products in a room, or what are you looking to import? Like if it's specific products you want to import to your library, or I'm sure that our support team could help you with that. But if you're looking to be able to import, like, okay, I know that I need a kitchen faucet, a kitchen sink, and a dishwasher in a kitchen always, we can't import that stuff yet, but that's a great idea. And I'll take that back to the team for sure. Just let us know.
Great. It looks like.
Okay. Lauren was asking about products. Yeah, we can connect you with our support team. I believe that they have a way to import products. I could be wrong, but I think that they do have a way. Do you know, Katie?
Yeah, I think we can help with you.
Yeah.
With our support team.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great. You know, you can upload those items, add them to your library, and then be able to use them. I cannot emphasize that enough. Like, it's so helpful to be able to just pull from the stuff you use all the time, especially for things like grout colors, or if you always use the Delta faucet, that sort of thing. It can be really, really helpful for you. I think that poll may have had something funky with it, Katie. It had yes, and then 2, 3, 4, 5. Was the options. If you want to redo that one real quick before everybody jumps.
Let me do that.
Jordan, the replay is going to come back to you guys later this afternoon. Something else, Katie and I are working on some new videos for you guys. So there's some new videos coming soon. And there's one that I did that is specifically on selections for contractors. So it will cover the selections tracker, the selections board. So you'll be able to access that here in the next week or so. And so you guys can rely on both that and the recording to kind of look back and forth. So, yeah.
Yes. And stay tuned. We have a lot of upcoming webinars as well. We're going to be doing one on our takeoffs tool in June, I believe June 11th. So the invitation for that should be going out soon. And then we're also doing quarterly What's New webinars. So we'll have one at the end of June where we'll go through a lot of updates that we've made to a variety of features.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys?
No, it doesn't look like it. And there's just one more resource I'm adding into the chat, which is how to use the parts and categories library.
Thank you. Perfect.
We have that. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great day.
Yes. Thank you, guys. And one other thing before you jump, we are making some improvements to our catalog. So something that we were mentioning earlier with the estimates and having to only see the product, your selections library, add those to the tracker. We're making some improvements to that overall experience of like how the catalog functions for contractors. So be on the lookout for that. It's coming soon. I was just on a meeting about it before this. So it's going to be really exciting for you guys. You'll be able to organize everything in a much more granular way. So stay on the lookout for that. Feature update coming soon.
Great. And I just added to the chat, Jordan asked if there's a place to watch replays. So I added that link in there. And we're also working on making them easier to access when you're in House Pro. So thanks again, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you all.